October 1971. Mount Panorama, Australia's sacred ground of speed, roars to life. The fiercest V8s on Earth gather for battle. But among the thunderous giants, one car stands alone. Smaller, lighter, a six-cylinder. It doesn't belong here, or so they thought. What happened next would shake the foundations of motorsport forever. Because this imposter didn't just challenge the establishment, it humiliated it. Its victory was so shocking, so threatening to the world's automotive order, that powerful forces tried to erase it from history. This is the story of the engine they couldn't kill. The underdog that defied Detroit. The Hemi 6. By 1970, Chrysler Australia was on life support. Ford and Holden dominated the streets with their roaring V8s, icons of Australian pride. Chrysler? They were stuck with the aging Slant 6, an engine that was tough but hopelessly outdated. Yet in a quiet engineering office in Adelaide, one man, Maurice "Maury" Harkis, was plotting a revolution. His mission? Build a six-cylinder engine that could crush the V8s in performance, but cost less to build and run. His weapon? A discarded American truck engine prototype. His inspiration? The legendary Hemi V8. But this wouldn't be a copy. It would be evolution. Harkis and his small, determined team reshaped the concept into something radical. A semi-hemispherical combustion design that allowed massive valves, cleaner airflow, and brutal efficiency. They called it the Hemi 6. At first it came in modest form, a 245 cubic inch inline six. But when Ford unleashed the monstrous 351 Phase 3 Falcon, Chrysler went back to the drawing board. The result? A bored-out 265 cubic inch engine, 4.3 liters of raw inline fury. To truly understand this revolution, we must go back to the beginning, 1962. The American-born Valiant arrived in Australia as an outsider, fighting Ford's beloved Falcon. At first it was just another import, but by 1963, with the locally built AP5 series, Chrysler had crafted something new. An Australian car with a distinctly Australian spirit. Yet beneath its hood lay the same old 225 Slant 6. Reliable, yes, but uninspired. As Ford and Holden battled with powerful homegrown V8s, Chrysler knew it was being left behind. That's when the storm began to form. Chrysler's engineers took what Detroit threw away, a failed truck engine concept, and rebuilt it from the ground up. Cast in Adelaide, forged with 7 main bearings, and topped with hemispherical chambers, the Hemi 6 was born to fight. The first 245 delivered a modest 165 horsepower, but when tuned for the Valiant Pacer, it turned savage, 185 to 235 horsepower depending on spec. By 1971, the all-new V8 Valiant arrived, and with it, the 265 Hemi 6, packing 205 horsepower and 273 lb-ft of torque. It was compact, efficient, and strong. But Chrysler wanted a weapon that could win Bathurst. The answer came from Italy. Chrysler's engineers partnered with Weber to create a triple side draft carburetor setup. 3 Weber 45s breathing through custom manifolds. The legendary six-pack was born. The 265 was reforged with forged steel crankshafts, high-lift cams, heavy-duty springs, and lightweight pistons. The result? The E49 Hemi Six Pack, an inline six that could outgun V8s twice its size, 102 horsepower, 320 lb-ft of torque, a 6,500 RPM redline, 0 to 60 in just over 6 seconds. It was faster than the Ford Falcon GTHO Phase 3, the most powerful sedan Australia had ever produced. Drivers like Leo Geoghegan and Peter Brock, yes, that Peter Brock described it as a weapon. Lightweight, perfectly balanced, and brutally fast out of corners. It didn't just perform, it dominated. Bathurst, 1971. The air thick with oil and adrenaline. 60,000 fans watching the world's most dangerous race unfold. The mighty Ford Falcons led early, but the E48 Chargers began to close. Their triple Webers howled up Mount Panorama, lighter and more agile than the thundering V8s. Lap after lap, the Chargers clawed their way forward. When the checkered flag fell, they had humiliated the establishment. Headlines screamed, "6 beats 8!" The crowd roared one name, Hemi. By 1972, the E49 had arrived, the pinnacle of Australian engineering. On the straights, it ran neck and neck with Ford's finest. Through the corners, it destroyed them. Its efficiency meant fewer pit stops. Its lightness meant faster turns. It was the perfect balance of muscle and intelligence. Even rival drivers admitted. The Hemi 6 was untouchable, but that success came at a price. Soon, powerful forces began to move. Politicians, pressured by media hysteria, launched the supercar scare of 1972, claiming high-performance streetcars were killer machines. Insurance companies hiked rates. The government cracked down, and behind the scenes, whispers grew that Detroit itself was pulling the strings. The Hemi 6 had embarrassed the V8 empire. Why promote a six-cylinder that could outperform your most profitable engines? Chrysler in the US quietly ordered its Australian branch to stop development. The E49 project was buried. Production ended abruptly, fewer than 200 cars built. The greatest six-cylinder ever made was killed, not by failure, but by fear. Yet legends never die. Today, the 265 Hemi Six Pack is celebrated as the engine that proved brains could beat brute force. At modern vintage races, restored E49 Chargers still tear across Mount Panorama, their triple Webers screaming defiance at the ghosts of Detroit. Collectors pay over $200,000 for pristine examples. Tuners push them to 450 horsepower naturally aspirated, proving that this forgotten engine was decades ahead of its time. Even modern Turbo 6s from BMW and Mercedes echo the same design philosophy: efficiency, power, balance. They tried to erase it, but the Hemi 6 refuses to be forgotten. It's not just an engine, it's a statement, a reminder that innovation doesn't always come from the giants. Sometimes it comes from the underdogs. So the question remains, was Chrysler's Hemi 6 silenced by politics, by greed, or by fear of what it could become? Comment your thoughts below. And if you love stories of engines that changed history, subscribe now to the Engine Insights USA, where forgotten machines roar again.